Hello. And welcome to Let Me Bore You to Sleep. My name is Jason Newland. Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, yes. So, today is Wednesday, the 29th of July 2026. It is 6:49 a.m. I did actually do a recording yesterday, but it was a moany one. it was just me moaning. And after 20 minutes in, and 20 minutes of the dog over the fence barking continuously and having to keep stopping and starting, and I got more moanier and moanier. And I thought, initially I thought I'll continue this another time. Maybe later on in the day when there's not so much barky. But later in the day, I couldn't be bothered. I just wasn't in the mood to do it. Plus, I've been busy still uploading or re-uploading the recordings to relax. What's it called? What am I doing? Relaxing sleep hypnosis daily. So I'm still re-uploading those ones. And also, it was particularly warm inside, so I had to have the window open, which increased the volume. And of the outside sounds. But at this time in the morning, there's not generally a lot of sound going on. If the council comes round to do like building work and stuff, they don't normally start until 8 in the morning. The dog doesn't normally start barking till about 8 in the morning. So, yeah, it might be out there now, but because there's not a lot of activity, it might do a little bit of barking, but it doesn't do like full on. For some reason, which is nice. And the dustbin men come round at 7:30. Vinny doesn't bark at them, but that's like once every 2 weeks. And the dog barks at them. But but the thing is that it makes no difference because they make their own sound, their own individual grunts and shouts and swears and stuff like that they do. It's actually there's a scene in Derek. Yeah, Derek, the TV show, where the lady, if you've seen it, it's a Ricky Gervais show. Ricky Gervais plays Derek, who works in a nursing home. I don't actually know what he does in the nursing home, but he sits around with the elderly people. And the lady who runs the nursing home has a boyfriend, and he has a job. He gets a job working on the dustbins, collecting the rubbish and stuff. And the person he's working with is a very angry young man. And they show him a few times, like picking the rubbish up and the bag split and stuff, and shouting and that. And that's what I hear pretty much every 2 weeks, is these angry and there's probably about 6 of them, 4, 5, 6, whatever, that can't, I don't know, maybe 4, but they make, and it sounds like a football match gone wrong. They very much, it sounds like more than there are. It's a little bit like, you know, when you're sitting on a bus or a train and you hear these voices, and maybe they're deep voices, and they're talking like really aggressively, and it's like almost could be intimidating. And you get up to get off, and you look back, and it's just a bunch of kids that have, probably teenagers, that are still, maybe their voices broke. They might even have school uniforms on. And there's nothing to be intimidated by. They're just kids. But they're so, what they're saying, the way they're talking is so aggressive. But it almost is funny once you see them. You know, it's like a little toddler squaring up to you saying, "Come on," or "Scrappy do." So I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know. It just reminded me of that happened once. I was on a bus, and I was thinking, am I safe? Because I was on a bus on my own. I wasn't near the back, because I don't sit at the back anymore, really, generally. I don't really get on buses anymore. But, you know, this is quite a while ago. Not ago. And I was sitting on the right-hand side, which is generally my favourite position. I don't know why. Maybe it almost feels like because I can see the traffic coming the other way. I don't know what it is. Although the other side, the left-hand side, better if you want to see people on the pavement, or if you want to see who's getting on the bus when the bus stops at the bus stop. I wonder how many times I can say bus. Bus, 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 bus. So normally I'll sit on the right-hand side, but I'm more kind of middle. I'll sit at the front if there's no one around, and I can, you know, I don't see the point in walking to the back. If there's literally no one on the bus, I'll probably will just sit on the front. I might even sit on the disabled chairs, but I will move if someone gets onto the bus that needs those chairs, those seats. Although I've got something to tell you, I might actually officially be able to sit on those seats soon. Bless me. Bless the aging process. Ooh, all warm and cosy. So yeah, I was sitting there on the right hand side, probably 2 or 3 seats away from the back, and I was hearing this. And for some reason, I think when I got on, there was quite a few people on the bus. I didn't look at anyone. But as the journey progressed, people got off. And I think on this particular journey, we'd gone through town, and everybody had got off the bus except me and the voices at the back. I didn't know how many there was. I think it turned out there was 3. About three of them. But I was hearing this seriously aggressive chat, lots of swearing, which is what I used to do when I was a kid. Lots of aggression. I didn't really do that. I've never really been an aggressive person, I would say, not really verbally. Generally, not and mean it, and not in public either. And there was a little bit of me thinking, am I safe? Am I alright? Because I didn't want to look back in case that triggered something. You know, like, oh, Because I knew I could tell there was at least 2 different voices, but I thought there was more. Actually, I could probably hear there was more. And I thought, but it seemed so. But then I said, as I got up, I looked round. I didn't start laughing, but internally I did. Because they couldn't have been more than like 13, 14. And they were talking like they were drunk 35, 40-year-olds in a pub, really bitter at life, kind of drinking like me 10 years ago. So before I moved here, before everything got better and more wonderful, so I don't know why I'm talking about that. Anyway, so yeah, I did the recording yesterday. I was just being a grumpy ass, so I just decided not to pursue that one and not to continue it. Although there was a funny line, I can't remember what it was, but it was quite a funny line. Something to do with a tree and a squirrel. I don't know. Maybe I'll find a way to do it again today, but I've kind of ruined it, haven't I, by mentioning the tree and the squirrel. So at some point later on I mention a squirrel or a tree, you're probably going to think that I'm going to mention also a squirrel or a tree. Well, what I mean is, if I mention a tree, you might think, oh, squirrel's coming. Or if I mention a squirrel, oh, a tree is coming. You know what I mean? And that might ruin the hilarious joke. But it depends really, doesn't it? Because if I stop talking about it, keep talking about it like this, then maybe after a while I can kind of ease it in, sneak it in, without you noticing. But then if you don't notice it, it's probably not going to be funny, is it? If it kind of, haven't really thought this through. I'll tell you what's weird. Well, it's not if it's weird, but when I do a Let Me Bore You to Sleep in the morning, and I don't normally do it in the morning, it's normally, well, going by past, it's normally early evening, late afternoon, sometimes early afternoon. It's rarely is it in the morning. Well, I have done them in the morning, but it's quite rare. I'm much more lively in the morning. And you might think, well, yeah, you've just woken up. I suppose there is that. I've got up, it's the beginning of the day. But I tend to have a quicker mind. Not that it's quick, but a just quick mind. As opposed to... Did I just say opposed? As opposed to a very slow one. Which reminds me, I got a message from... Christine. Hi Jason, nice to see you back on podcast. Your YouTube hasn't changed since the last Friday Q&A, just in case you didn't know. Thanks, Christine. So hi Christine, that was supposed to have been sorted, so I did kind of update the YouTube channel, but it didn't update. So let's have a look. Yeah, it didn't update itself, so what I've had to do... What's that going on? Really, I've had no views of the latest one. Fair enough. I converted the this is the last Let Me Bore You to Sleep one, which was a couple of days ago. I converted that into a video and I've uploaded it to YouTube. All being well, and if things work how they should do, from now on, whenever I release a new podcast to my podcast, they should just automatically upload to YouTube, like what they did and like how they should. So that I'll be going back to 6 versions again, which will delight some people and annoy others. It's in equal measure, possibly. It's just, as Buddy Holly said, if you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. Which isn't really true, is it? Actually, that's not true at all. Yeah, that's an untruth. It's one of those just generic quotes that actually people might take on and like, oh yeah, and just continuously pass it on, but has no meaning and is actually incorrect. It's a bit like that. Oh, if you when you tell kids, like, if you keep making that face, if the wind changes, your face will be like that forever, or something like that. Like this, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean if the wind changes? But it's not even windy. If it changes, how does wind change? What, going from blowing to the left to blowing to the right? I mean, what? I don't get it. And I'm not going to keep this face going the whole time, because a wind it's not going to change instantly, is it? Unless it's some kind of tornado, which moves quite fast. But then even in a tornado, you can see it, and you can probably have enough time to not, hopefully, take shelter, but at least change the expression on your face. Yeah, I don't know why some of those things. There's another one in the UK. I don't know if you got it. Some of these expressions that I kind of grew up with is things like look who the cat dragged in. It's like, hi Nan, it's your favourite grandchild. Look who the cat dragged in. It's like, so what you're saying is I'm basically a half-eaten rodent. Yeah? Lovely. Thanks. It's a very negative country, this is. I think it's always been like that. Just generally. Not everyone. Not completely. But just a lot of the sayings, a lot of the language patterns is not a positive one. The standard greeting is, hi, you alright? Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm still alive. And that, I tried to stop myself talking like that. But I had to do it manually. I had to do it on purpose, because it was almost built within me. Because that's what I've experienced from being born, hearing people say stuff like that. Hearing people complain about the weather. It's too hot, too cold, too wet, too damp, too windy. The word too, T-O-O. That reminds me, I've got an issue with the word lose. So, why do people use the word L-O-O-S-E, which is loose, instead of L-O-S-E, lose? It's a different word. loose as in not tight. Not loose, not lose as in lost. That's bugged me for years and years and years. I don't know why, but I see people use that in their grammar. I don't know if it's like a different country use it as a different word, but I just like, come on, loose and lose. I realise it's a little bit, probably a little bit pedantic, but it's a similar word, because like lose, loose, lose, loose. It's a similar word, and if I was trying to learn English as a second language, words like that would really confuse me, because it sounds the same pretty much, doesn't it? But then there's a lot of, like, if you go from someone, and I hear this quite a lot, people maybe from the northern part of the country might use terms like bath instead of bath. I'll say bath, they may say bath. Of course I'm right, I'm not judging. If you say bath, you're clearly wrong. But it's, the thing is, people only say bath or bath is because that's where they've grown up to. That's how they've been taught to say it. Which makes you wonder why, considering bath is the right way to say it, just like in the English language, I mean, not morally. Wouldn't it make sense that everywhere the teachers speak the same? Like all teachers in every school around the country speak the same. You know, let's just choose if it's bath or bath. I don't care. I'll say bath. I don't. It doesn't sound right to me, but that's because it does. It's wrong to my ears because it's not how I've ever said it. But let's just have because it's communication. It's miscommunication if we're all saying things differently. Because if you say can't and if you say can and can't, that's how we say it in this part of the world. In my country, can and can't. But in, let's say, other parts of the country, they might say can. They still say can, but then they say can't. Now, if you speak quickly, can and can't sounds the same word. I can walk up to, I can, what is it? I can't get up the hill. I can 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 get up the hill. I can't get up the hill. But if you say I can get up the hill and I can't get up the hill, it's much easier to decipher. And that's something I've struggled with in the past when I hear people talking and they say can't. And it's the same with other parts of the world as well that say can't. Especially when the talk... And I've actually heard... It's quite funny. I've heard people that are speaking, using these words, having to ask each other to repeat it because they don't know what they mean because they're speaking too quickly, and can and can't sounds the same in a sentence when the person's speaking very quickly. And also what I noticed is, you might notice this, do you ever notice when you ask someone to repeat what they said because you just couldn't catch it? Perhaps happens a bit more to me because I'm so blimmin' slow, but and have a degree of lack of interest. But if you like, oh, can you repeat it? So if they said, oh, I'm going on a holiday to blah blah blah, it's like, okay, I didn't get that last bit. Can you repeat it? Guaranteed they will say, yeah, okay, so I'm going on holiday to blah, blah, blah. They'll repeat it exactly word for word, the same speed, the same mumble at the same place. It's like, but it's kind of rude to say no. But it might be rude that I do it. But like, no, I understood the first bit when you were actually speaking English, but the last bit was incomprehensible. All I heard was blah, 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 blah. I think that attitude contributed to me getting sacked from my insurance job. You know, yeah, correcting people on the phone is not a good idea if your job is to, you know, talk on the phone to customers. Correcting them on the way they talk, yeah, it's not a good idea. But anyway, I learned from that. I learned that I didn't like working in insurance. That's what I learned. I also learned that they did not pay me enough. I was selling £500,000 worth of insurance a year. And in most sales jobs, like if you get a commission, it's going to be at least 10%. So I should have been on 50 grand a year. But I was on, well, I worked out about 5%. You know, no salesperson outside of maybe, you know, because I was on commission, but it was only based on the commission of how many sales I got and a certain amount per sale, blah, blah, whatever, plus a basic salary. Blah, blah. I just heard someone on TikTok. I'm very fascinated by TikTok. I probably spend about 20 minutes a day just going on TikTok and listening. And if someone fascinates me, I'll listen. I'll watch them. And there was someone on there and he kept saying the word mate pretty much after every sentence. All right, mate. So, yeah, mate. All right, mate. All right, mate. He seemed to be putting on like a deep voice as well. And he said that he was in his early 60s. So I don't know. Because some people do that, don't they? You can tell that they're putting on a fake deep voice. Because probably they heard somewhere that perhaps women like deep voices. Or men with deep voices are come across as being tough, or I don't know, whatever. I used to do it myself when I was 10. Didn't work though. I tried to have a deep voice, you know, like, yeah, that's right, yeah. That was me trying to have a deep voice. I want Weetabix today, Mum. That's like, yeah, it wasn't really. I mean, there was the period when I was going through the change, you know, the first change. Hair where you don't want it, until you realise that you're supposed to have it there, and then you don't get as much as you want. Parts growing, or not growing, depending how lucky you are. And my voice hadn't broken. I mean, I never had a deep voice anyway, even when it did break, but because some people do have like naturally really deep voices, and you could almost feel the testosterone like spraying in your face when they talk, you know, the breeze of the testosterone filling your nostrils. It's just, some people are just like that. I never was. I don't think I had any testosterone in my life. I don't think there's ever been any in my body, actually. So, but I used to wake up, and there was this period when I'd wake up, and I'd have a croaky voice, and I'd be in bed, and the first thing I did when I woke up, the second thing I did when I woke up when I was about 13 was go, okay, the third thing, because I had to clean up. The third thing I did when I woke up was, Adrian, because Rocky was on at the time. Rocky was the big thing, and Adrian. That was the only two really, Adrian, and the other one was the impressions I did back then was, don't think, feel. It's like a finger pointing to the moon. Slap. Don't concentrate on the finger, or you'll miss all that heavenly glory. That was Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon. That was the other impression I did, which I think was better back then than it is now. I mean, I haven't watched the film for a long time. It's kind of one of those movies I can't really watch anymore. I've overwatched it. It's not like a song, is it? Like with a song, I over-listen to that song, but then maybe 10, 15 years later, 20 years, 30 years later, it's like, oh, I enjoy listening to that now because it only lasts for 3 minutes. It's not like that of a movie, is it? Like I'm going to spend an hour and a half rewatching a movie. No. Although I did watch Supergirl 2 days ago. Because I was in a grump, I didn't enjoy it. I was looking forward to it, and I realised as I was watching it that I probably wouldn't have enjoyed anything at that moment. That was always one of my worries about the old moods, is on my wedding day, I'm thinking about in the past, the idea of a wedding day now is kind of funny, but I was concerned that I'd wake up on my wedding day in a grump. Now, a grump is an underestimate. It's an it's not the right word, but, it's a nice, gentle word to use. But in a grump, I'd wake up in a grump, and I would not be pleasant to be around, and I would not enjoy the day. And that's the weird thing about, for me, my experience of this, long before I was ever having a mood disorder, but long before I ever was diagnosed with bipolar or anything like that, I didn't know how I was going to be from one day to the next, or from how I was going to be in the afternoon compared to how I was in the morning, or how I was going to be before I went for a wee-wee mid-morning and when I got back from doing a wee-wee, or how I was going to be before having an interaction with a human and afterwards. See, I just didn't know how I was going to feel and how I was going to respond, because I was so changeable. And also because I was young, I think back in them days, now I'm talking about in my, blimey, all the way through school, and I've had this. I would say as long back as I remember in my life, I've had mood irregularities. See, I wouldn't use the word irregularities if I did this recording in the evening. Words like that seem to leave my vocabulary. When I wake up, my vocabulary is much more available for me. Why is that? Maybe it's the pain medication I take for my back. And then it's the medication I take for the bipolar. It sort of dumbs me down a bit, and it does make me tired. But when I wake up, my body's kind of, I've got that in my system, some of it, but not like full on. I don't know. Because I know sometimes I can wake up and just have loads of ideas, loads of like creative thoughts, and really feel chatty. Like today I'm feeling quite chatty, but then other days I don't, so yeah. But ever since, I hope you don't mind me talking about this, because I know some may say, well, it's not conducive to sleep, you're talking about, well, yeah, I get that, but this, I try and include my life into these podcasts, but at the same time, I try not to go too deep. Like, you know, emotionally, I can talk about bipolar without getting serious, you know, just because this is as much of my life, part of my life, as my eyes or breathing or eating, or, you know, this is part of me for whatever reason. It's a big part of my life, and it's difficult to plan. It's difficult, although there was one time, right, I went out with my college friends when I was at university doing my degree in counselling. Ooh, I got a degree. Yeah. I was invited out with my friend, another friend, her husband, and her two friends who were both gay. They were like in a relationship, and that is that's important to the story. That's why I mentioned it. Okay. So we went out to this. You ever been to a place like a nightclub and a pub? It's not really. It was a nightclub, but it was like a nightclub early. It was open at 8, 9, and it was already a nightclub. But it was also a bar, but people were dancing. It was two levels. It was a really nice place. It was in Chelmsford. So I go into this place. I had no idea that I had the grump. I had the hump. I had a grumpy. I was just in a mood, but there was no reason for it. And so I had my friends trying to kind of talk to me, and I was not being very responsive, and I was really, really in a bad mood, like really, really, really. Again, no reason. I didn't want to be there, but I couldn't get home because my ride was like booked. So I probably could have got home. I could have got a taxi back, which would have cost a fortune. So maybe I didn't have the money to do that. I don't remember. But something absolutely hilarious, well, at the time I found it hilarious, happened, which kind of, it brought me out of it, because I was laughing so much at the absurdity. So basically, I'm talking to one of the lads, one of the because you've got the two gay men. One, I think it was his birthday, his 30th birthday, one of them, okay? And he came back from the dance floor. Well, actually, he got some drinks, so he had to walk through the dance floor. And he said, these two women, they keep chatting me up. And I don't know what to say. Like, his boyfriend was laughing. Apparently it happens a lot. And he went down to get some more drinks. I said, I'll come down with you. I'll get the rest of the drinks. I kind of wanted to get away from the people that were there, but also I thought it'd be funny to see what happens, you know, see what it was like. And he was right. There was these two ladies, and they were both seriously chatting him up. And he kept saying to them, I'm gay. And they would not let it go. And he was pointing to his boyfriend who was waving. You know, like, and they asked me, I said, yeah, it's his boy. They're engaged. I don't know if they were. I don't know if I said that. I don't even know if he did wave or not. But, you know, it's part of the story. It gives it a bit of juice. There was no hovercrafts involved. I'm not going to, like, add stuff just for the sake of it. But this was the scenario. But they would not take his being gay as a good enough excuse not to go home and have an adult adventure with them. Honestly. He kept telling them, oh, and they were drunk, so they kept asking the same questions over and over again. And he kept saying, I'm gay, I don't find women attractive, you like that, I like men, I'm engaged to be married, we've been together 700 years, we're vampire, I don't know what he was saying. And it was so funny. She said, and they said, well, why are you here then? Why aren't you in a gay club? He said, well, and this is when I jumped in. I said, well, excuse me, what are you talking about? He doesn't have to go to a gay club just because he's gay. I go to gay clubs all the time. And one of them said, yes, so? I said, well, I'm not gay. And everyone started laughing. Yeah, of course you're not. Excuse me? So one gay person that's literally waving to his boyfriend, they don't believe him, but they think that they believe, they don't, you know what I mean? It's like, what? Which I guess that's why they weren't coming on to me, because they thought I was gay. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have been talking to me instead. Which is untrue. They wouldn't have been. And he said, well, I'm in here with my friends. We are allowed to come into like normal, well, I say normal, straight places. I don't have to just go to gay clubs, you know. They said, oh, okay, what are you celebrating? So it's my birthday. Oh, how old are you? And he said, I'm 30. One of them screamed out, 30? And the other one like, oh, that's old. You're an old man. 30? The look of disgust on their faces. They turned and walked away. And you could hear the building shake. No, they were normal size. No, but you could... It was almost like if it was a cartoon, smoke would be coming out of their ears. They were furious that they'd wasted that much time on someone that was 30. 30 years old. How dare you talk to us? They were probably 25, 26. You know, I don't know why 30 is so old, but that cheered me up so much. I mean, the bit about them, you know, you like didn't believe that I was straight. Not so much, but the fact that him being gay was not a deterrent, but being 30, that was the line that they would not cross. That was the sinker. Wow. This is a true event. And I was laughing. It tickled me. Absolutely. I feel one of them came back and said, are you sure you're 30? He said, yeah. And she looked at me and growled and walked off. So I was like, why is it my fault? I said to him, why is she growling at me? He said, because you've got no pants on. I was like, okay. I said, it's been ages. I haven't said that for a while, have I? He said, no, you haven't. I said, well, I thought I might as well introduce it back into the podcast about me walking around in public without any pants. And he said, yeah, you might as well do. Might as well keep a little bit of, continuity, I think the right word is. I said, yeah. He said, by the way, are you now going to be continuing your podcast a bit more regularly? I said, yeah, that's the intention. He said, what on earth made you delete all that stuff and decide to just do 10 hours without any music? I said, look, what you don't realise is I got advice to do that. I actually went on and did some, research in how to build a podcast, because although the podcasts are growing slowly, they're growing, but it's like I just think I should be at more. I want to reach more people. That's all, so I can help more people. It's just simple as that, really. And having so many different versions means that my recordings get lost. The ones I did 2 months ago are almost invisible, and a lot of work goes into these recordings. Each individual one is hours of work, and the idea that I do something and make a hypnosis recording that lasts for 2 hours, and then it's because it's 3 months ago, no one's ever going to listen to it again. Yeah, if it was visible, still now, people would possibly be listening to it. So, that's kind of one of those, that's why I kind of went that way. And he said that was a very long answer to the question. He said, you do know I think I'm 32 now. And I said, you mean, what? I was being a bit slow, to be honest. I had been drinking a little bit. I said, oh, you mean because it took me so long to answer that you've actually aged 2 years? He said, yeah. I said, oh, that's quite clever. He said, I thought so, but I think explaining it ruined it a bit. I said, okay. And we did laugh, but I was also thinking about, the two women wanting to be with him when he was gay, but not when he was gay. I mean, he still is, but the idea that, being 30 was the deal breaker. Oh, it still tickles me a little bit even now. And this was back in, I reckon, I was at college at the time, so probably about 2009, 2008, 2009, I'd say, ballpark figure, 2009. So what's that? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 17 years, yeah. And he said, yeah, I know how long ago it was, because I was with you, wasn't I? I'm the bloke in the story. I said, sorry, I forgot you. I thought you were gone. I thought I was talking to the audience. He said, no, you're still talking to me. I said, okay. So what you're telling me is you changed all the podcasts, got rid of all that stuff, because you were trying to help the audience. Yeah, that's it. That's why. But do your listeners think that? Do they feel that it helped them? No, probably is the answer. No, I don't think anyone did. So, whether or not you thought it was helping, if they didn't feel helped by it, then it wasn't helping, was it? I said, no, and that's why I've gone back and re-uploaded stuff. Oh, so you didn't lose it all? You didn't just delete it? No, I had a backup. I'm not just going to delete all my recordings. Everything's saved. So why didn't you just make those recordings private and see how it went? And then you could have just, when it didn't work, you could have just made them public again. And it would have taken you maybe a couple of hours. The reason I didn't do that is because I've only just thought of it. Wow, that would have been a much easier way to do it, wouldn't it? Just make all the recordings private that weren't 10 hours long, but still keep them on the podcasts, which meant I wouldn't have to delete or re-upload anything. Perhaps in the future, if I ever do that again, I'll have to, or, experiment. I'm trying to think of some of the other old phrases. Let's have a look. This is very much a Trivia Tuesday kind of theme, isn't it? So, old English phrases. Old English Français. What? Old English phrases and sayings and... Right, yeah, that's it, and sayings. Right. Okay. When I said Old English, I didn't mean like medieval English. Although, look, some of these really are old. The oldest one's like, settle in truth is fate. Truth is the trickiest. Success comes through fairness, not force. Need do thyself harm. Don't hurt yourself. Okay. So here's some. All that glitters is not gold. So not everything that appears valuable is valuable. A fool and his money are soon parted. There's a few words I don't like, that I just don't enjoy. The word fool. I don't like that word. And idiot and stupid. That's the other two words, which basically is what a fool is, isn't it? That's the meaning of the word fool. Don't like those. Maybe it's because I was called it too much when I was younger. I don't like them. Don't like those words. So, calling someone a fool. I don't, yeah. I've never used that word on someone ever in my life. But I do understand the saying, and I've been in that situation, and I don't think it's... maybe we can change the word of fool. You could change it to a naive person, and their money are soon parted. A trusting person, and their money are soon parted. Both of those which I think would be called a fool by someone that's judging them, not realising that maybe they're just kind and trusting and believe that when someone asks for the money, or for money, asking and said that they need it for something really important when they didn't? How does it make the person that's given the money the fool? How does it? It's weird, isn't it? So you help someone out who doesn't need help because you believed them, because you're a caring person and you're a trusting person, and you believe that helping others is the best thing you can do in life, basically. The most important thing is helping others, because helping others helps you. Oh, it sounds like there's a fly somewhere. Oh. And, oh, by the way, did I tell you that I got my radiators put in? Got my radiators put in last week, the new radiators. And next month, I'm potentially going to get a new kitchen. And I also spoke to the adult health place, and they're going to send an occupational therapist to come round and look at my bathroom, because I can't get in and out of the bath. It's not a bath issue, because I got a shower, but I can't get my leg over anymore. Oh dear. The opportunity. Because of my lower back on my left side, my left leg isn't as stable as my right leg. And I just can't get in and out of the bath safely. And also, painlessly. So what they might do, if it comes to it, they might change it and get rid of the bath, perhaps put a wet room in, or perhaps put a shower in, or something like that. Yeah. At one point she said, well, we could do you need anyone to come and help you to wash? And I said, no. It's not. I'm too young. I know there's no age limit on that stuff, but no. That would be, no, I think that would be, no. I said, if you've got photographs, then no, I didn't say that. No. And she did say, have you considered a walking aid, like a walking stick, to help you with your balance and to to help you so you're not in so much pain when you walk? No, but then I'm going to be in public with a walking stick. And that's not me being rude towards other people that have walking sticks, but it's just, that's not how I don't know. I guess I'm not ready. Like my nan, even when she was 95, she couldn't see. She was having trouble with her hearing. She's basically just really old. I mean, obviously 95 is old, and her mobility was almost very, 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 very bad. But she had like a Zimmer frame, and she could walk very slowly. Like her family, and there's one thing I would say about my granddad and my nan and granddad's side of the family, and that's the only side of my family that I know. I don't know my mum's side. So my dad's side of the family, impatience is something that I've noticed that they've all got in common. Very impatient. Just want to get on with it. And it's not that they're being rude or that they're trying to be nasty. They're just impatient. They want to get it done. And the idea of walking somewhere, like to a restaurant, and having to walk really, really slowly behind my nan did not appeal to them. And they got her a wheelchair, and she refused to get into the... She refused it. She said, I'm not going out in public in that thing. I'm not having you pushing me around. And it's just, it was... And I'm not criticising my family, because blimey, my dad was amazing, and my aunt, and they were really good with my nan. You know, she wanted for nothing other than... All she did want, well, she wanted my granddad, and she wanted me to pay the money back that I stole from her purse. But what she really wanted was... I didn't steal any money from her purse, I'm just joking, blimey. It's just light-hearted. See, I would say that to my nan. It's not something I wouldn't say to her. I wouldn't say that I stole money from your purse, but I'd do it as a joke, you know. She had a good sense of humour. She did, she was funny. I used to make her laugh. I like that. See, I don't make my dad laugh. I don't make any of my family laugh, really. But I used to make my nan laugh. And that's all that really mattered, because I used to come out with stuff that was rude, and she'd be like, oh, couldn't believe I said it. Oh, Jason. Oh, you know, and I would come out with stuff. And this is, bearing in mind, this is like in my 20s, in my 30s. I mean, she left when I was 44, but even up to like early 40s when because the last year or two, she did fade. But I'd still make her laugh. I mean, the very last time I saw her, it was just before Christmas, and it was 2014. So it was December 2014, and she was almost whispering. She could hardly talk. She just wasn't very well. She was basically just age, really. And so I had to get really close to her for her to see me. And and for her to hear me, she was whispering, and she still had the smile in her eyes. And maybe it's like, say, Irish smiling eyes. Irish have this, you know, smiley eyes, whatever. And she was Irish. Both her parents were Irish, going back probably centuries. You know, thousands of years maybe. I'm not saying her parents were thousands of years old, but her heritage was Irish through and through. I'm 48% Irish, so I'm guessing my mum's side also had Irish, because technically I should only be quarter Irish, because my dad's half Irish, so I should be quarter Irish, but I'm actually 48% Irish, which is nearly 50%, isn't it? I think I would agree. So on my mum's side, one of my grandparents must have been Irish as well. Maybe it was my granddad. I don't know. I never met. No, I mean I probably did meet them when I was very, very little, but I don't remember anybody. I mean, my granddad was gone. Her father left the planet before I was even born. But I don't remember ever meeting my grandmother or my auntie, because she had a sister. I mean, she might still have a sister. I never remember meeting her. So I don't know. There must have been some Irish on their side. Otherwise, I wouldn't be 48%. I don't think that'd be. Yeah, that doesn't make sense otherwise. But my dad, he, and you say, well, yeah, everyone does it. Well, it's not just about everyone does it, but I was surprised at how good he was with both. At the time, my step granddad and my step grandmother and my nan, my actual real nan, were all elderly and unwell at the same time. And my dad and my stepmom pretty much had a full-time job looking after them. That's what they did. They went from one to the other. One was in a home, one was in a hospital, one was at home. So they were going from one place to another, and that was their job for years, for a good few years. And I don't know how they did it. I'm just like, I'm in awe, really, at how they, and how anyone, and I know there are millions of people out there doing this, are able to. That's why, you know, why can't you just finish a sentence? You know how the sentence was going to end. That's why I do believe that everyone, pretty much everyone, has got a really nice side to them. And there's so much kindness out there. There's so much caring, because literally there are millions of people just in this country, millions upon millions of people that are caring for someone, that are like either physically hands-on caring for someone, or visiting someone in a home, in a hospital, a hospice, wherever, or at their home. There's teachers, there's care workers that are doing it as a job, nurses, doctors, millions of people. And also the emergency services, ambulances, doctors, the police, the fire service, the air service, the water people, the boat lifeguard thing. So many people that are caring. And it's kind of amazing when you think about it, because that's not the way that society is portrayed in the news, in the newspapers, on the internet. It seems to be that the negativity is what stands out, and they're the ones that make the most noise. And maybe that's because the people that are being kind and caring, or people that they haven't got time to be involved in that stuff. They haven't got time to go on to TikTok or Twitter, or sit on TikTok for hours, shouting and getting into arguments, because they're busy being kind. They're busy caring for someone that they love. Maybe I'm just speaking out loud. There's so much kindness out there in the world. So much. I wonder what it'd be like if more people realised, or really got to grips, got in touch with that part of themselves that really is selfless, that's caring and kind and loving. Because it's there. Yeah. I don't know why I started thinking about that, but it's the same thing. It's every one of us has made a difference, a positive difference to another person's life. Probably many people's lives, but everyone has made a difference to another person's life. Even if we don't even know about it, even if we don't even know the person. Sometimes it could be as simple as opening a door for someone who's coming into the garage, or just moving out of the way, or being friendly, or if they drop something, just like, hey, look, you dropped this. Something like that could be the difference between them getting to the last straw, as it were, to remind them of how kind people can be. Can you imagine if we all just decided, and it's not about doing a good deed, but to just, at the very least, remind ourselves of the kindness that we have and others have, and to maybe share that kindness, like one little bit, share it. Even, here's an experiment. I might try and do this myself, and I've done it in the past actually, is sending love. And this is kind of a meditation practice, but for me it's a little bit different from that, but it's almost sending kindness to another person. It doesn't have to be someone that's in the room with you. It could be someone that's distant. It could be someone in another country maybe. But in some ways, I quite like the idea of sending kindness to a complete stranger. Someone you see. Maybe you're on a bus. Just someone you can see, you see getting on a bus, and just close your eyes and send them kindness. Maybe to the bus driver, maybe to a neighbour. It's quite powerful. So I used to do these kinds of things on buses where I would imagine, not just on the buses, but sometimes, it could be a bit boring sitting on a bus, and I'd like, okay, let's do some meditation, but let's do some mind magic kind of. So I'd imagine that like invisible rain would start to fall down on everyone, but it was healing rain, and it'd fall into, and it would soak into their scalp, and it would kind of fill their body up with this healing energy, and they'd be completely covered and filled. Or if I saw someone on the bus and maybe they looked like they had a sniffle or they were coughing, send them individually like really powerful healing. Partly to try and stop them coughing because, it's not ideal, is it? But it feels nice. It feels nice to send. 'Cause it's one of those things where, let's say if you've got a cake and you share your cake out, you might, if it's a birthday cake and you're in an office, you might end up not getting to eat any of your own cake. But the difference with this, unlike a cake, every slice you give out a whole cake returns. You get a cake back. Every time you give a slice out, you get a cake back. So every time you give healing energy out or send healing energy, you get 10, 20, 100 times more coming back to you. So it never runs out. It just grows stronger. The more you give it away, the larger it becomes. That healing, that positivity. The more you give away, it's like having a bank balance. The more money you give away, the more money, the higher your bank balance goes. But in positivity, in healing, in feeling good, feeling relaxed, accomplished, feeling that you've done something really nice. So when you send healing out to others, it comes back to you a lot stronger, which means that you can send out even more healing energy, stronger, more powerful, but then you also get even more comeback, which makes it stronger to the point where you can feel amazing. I'm just getting in touch with that feeling. I can feel it in my brain, almost in my head, my eyes, my face, my chest, my legs. It's almost like that healing energy is being sent ahead of me. I just got the visualization of the healing actually entering my shoes, ready for when I put my shoes on, when I take Vinny out. Being on the carpet, being on my toothbrush, so when I brush my teeth, in the toothpaste, in the water bottle. So everything I do sends more healing energy into me, healing more of you. Yeah, that sounds quite good. I like that. So I'm going to go, because it's now 8:08 in the morning. I need to take Mr. Vincent out for a WALK and get back and have something to eat at 9:10. I've got everything very regimented today. 9:10, that's when Frasier's on. So I'm going to have some breakfast when Frasier's on and a cup of tea. And between now and then, I'm going to take him out, then come back and try and do some editing on this podcast and upload it. So thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love.